Hello there. So we are now in video 2 for week 2. So what we are talking about this week is something called systems of equations. So again, we have two equations with two unknowns. So we need to solve for both x and for y. So in today's video, we are learning the second method to solve systems of equations by hand, which is called elimination. So when we did this in the first semester, a lot of you guys actually preferred elimination over substitution, which is fine. Both methods work. So today we're going to review elimination to make sure that you can solve for x and y when two equations are in standard form. So what standard form means is that we have an x and then a y and then equals a number. So it looks just like this, x, y equals number. So let's take a look at the first one. So step 1, it says, are both equations in standard form? Yes, x, y equals number, x, y equals number. Is there a letter that will cancel when you combine like terms? So again, I'm going to do the odds and you're going to do the evens. This should, you means me, I guess, and I means you. So we're going to do the odds together and then you'll try the evens. So in number 1, if we look at these variables, we have a negative 4x and a positive 4x. So what that means is if we combined like terms, if we added these things together, negative 4 plus 4 is 0. So that letter would eliminate. Negative 4 and a positive 4 would make the x's go away. So since it says, is there a letter that will cancel when you combine your like terms, your x's? It has the same coefficient with different signs. The 4 is the same, but that's a negative 4, and this is a positive 4. So that's what makes this cancel. So now combine like terms and solve. Easy. What that means is negative 2 plus 8 is positive 6y. You can use your phone calculator if you need to. Negative 12 minus 24 is negative 36. Then to get y by itself, you divide both sides by 6. So I know that my y value is negative 36 divided by 6 is negative 6. Okay, so my y value here is negative 6. So that means that I know the second number in the ordered pair is going to be a negative 6. So that's not the final answer, unfortunately, because if you look, we still need an x of this ordered pair to get the solution for x. So what I'm going to do is look at my original equation. You can pick either one. It doesn't matter which one you pick. You could pick either equation. We're going to plug in our y value and solve for x. I'm going to pick this second equation down here. I'm going to go with this one because there's more positives. I just like positive numbers when solving. So I'm going to pick this one because it'll make it a little bit easier because there's less negatives. So for those that struggle with negatives, this one would be a little bit easier. So what I have, I already solved for y. That's done. To solve for x, I pick the equation 4x plus 8. But instead of this y, I know that the y value is a negative 6 equals negative 24. Okay, so I took this equation and instead of this y value, I plugged in the y value that I know that it is. So now to solve this, what we have, 4 times x is just 4x. 8 times negative 6, use a calculator if you need to. 8 times negative 6 is negative 48 equals negative 24. So now we need to get x by itself. To solve by x, I'm going to add 48. You practiced that last week. That's why we had to do that last week, to make sure you know how to solve for one variable. So that leaves me with 4x equals 24. Okay, last step, x is almost by itself. Divide by 4, divide by 4. 24 divided by 4 is the number positive 6. So my solution to number 1 is 6, negative 6. So it seemed like a lot, So for number 2, to start you off, you're going to look to see which variables will eliminate, which ones will cancel. Okay, so you're going to cancel, then you're going to combine like terms for the other letters and solve for the letter. Then plug the value back into either equation and solve for the missing variable. Okay, try number 2. Let's take a look at number 3. So in number 3, I look at this, and the first thing said, is there a letter that is ready to cancel? Oh yeah, look, 9y's minus 9y's will go away. So that leaves me with 2 minus 4 is negative 2 with an x equals 25 minus 23 is a positive 2. So I canceled, I eliminated the y's because 9 minus 9 is 0, so those go away. And then I combined like terms. 2 minus 4 is negative 2. 25 minus 23, positive 2. So now I solve for x. To get x by itself, I divide. So x equals negative 1. In my ordered pair, I'm going to write in that my x value is negative 1. So now that's great. I know what x is, but I have no clue what y is. So to solve for y, I pick one equation. I'm going to pick the first one. There's some nice positive numbers in that first one. I'm going to pick the first one. I'm going to write 2. However, instead of x, I know that the x value, we just said x is negative 1. So instead of this x, I'm replacing it with what I know the x is, which is negative 1, plus 9y equals 25. And now I can solve. 2 times negative 1 is negative 2, plus 9y equals 25. Get y by itself, plus 2, so 9y equals 27. Divided by 9, divided by 9. So I just solved for y. So 27 divided by 9 is the number 3. Okay, so for number 3, the correct answer, negative 1, comma 3. So try the same thing with number 4. Look at number 3 to help you. Step 1, is there a letter that is ready to cancel? If there is a letter that's ready to cancel, you can cancel it and just combine your other terms. Number 4 is very similar to number 3. So go ahead and try those steps and see if you can get number 4. All right, when you're ready, let's take a look at number 5. So in number 5, we need a letter to cancel. 16 minus 8, that's not 0. That's not going to cancel. Negative 10 and a minus 6, that's not going to make 0. Those won't cancel. So what we have to do is we need to multiply the whole thing by a number that will make it cancel. So what number would make these x's cancel? If this was a 16, and say we could turn this into a negative 16, then we would have something that eliminates. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to multiply this times 2 to make the x's cancel. So the first term gets to stay, 16x minus 10y equals 10. The first ones are fine. But in the bottom ones, I'm going to multiply every piece times 2, so that way I can make them cancel. 2 times negative 8 is negative 16 with an x. 2 times negative 6 is the number negative 12 with a y. 2 times 6 is the number positive 12. Okay, so I rewrote the first equation, and then I multiplied the second equation every piece by 2, and that's how I got this piece here. So now I have 2 equations, and I'm ready to eliminate. This will eliminate because 16 minus 16 is 0. Those will go away. Negative 10 minus 12, use a calculator if you need to. That's negative 22y equals a 10 and a positive 12 makes a positive 22. Now we get y by itself by dividing both sides by negative 22. 22 divided by negative 22 is the number negative 1. So I know that the y value where these two lines would intersect, where they would cross the solution, is the number negative 1. Okay, so now we're going to take that negative 1 and pick any equation because we need to figure out what the x value is. So in this one here, you could pick any equation. You could pick this one, you could pick this one, you could pick this one, you could pick this one. Doesn't matter. Any of the 4 that you have, 1, 2, 3, 4. And you can make those, you can use those to solve for x. So I'm going to pick the first one here because those numbers don't have a lot of negatives. So what I have here is 16x minus 10. Instead of this y value, we know that y is negative 1 equals 10. So I took this first equation and I rewrote it, but instead of y, I replaced it with the number that I knew that y was. 16x minus 10 times y, which is negative 1, equals 10. So now I'm going to solve this. 16x, negative 10 times negative 1 is positive 10, equals 10. Lots of 10s here. So now to solve for x, we move the number to the other side. Minus 10 makes it go away. Minus 10. So that leaves me with 16x equals 10 minus 10 is 0. That's fine. 0 is a number. Let it happen. So now to get x by itself, we're going to divide by 16. And we're going to divide by 16. 0 divided by anything is just the number 0. Okay, so this is my solution of those equations there. So in number 6, I'm going to help you just by starting you off here. So in this one here, nothing is ready to eliminate. 4 minus 2, that's not 0. 15 and 10, that's not 0. So these are not ready to eliminate. So what I'm going to do is I am going to multiply this whole thing times 2 because 2 times negative 2 is negative 4, which would eliminate with a positive 4. Okay, so I want you to start by rewriting the first equation right over here. So take this guy and rewrite it, and then multiply times 2 and write it here, and then eliminate like you would eliminate like normal. Okay, so go ahead and work through number 6. Number 7. Again, in number 7, we don't have anything that's ready to eliminate. 8 and 6, that doesn't make 0. 14 plus 7, that doesn't make 0. So therefore, we can't eliminate yet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this equation and multiply by some number that would make it cancel with the top equation. So if I look at this, 6 times nothing will ever make 8. But 7 to make a 14? Sure. 7 times 2 is 14. However, for them to eliminate, they have to have opposite signs. If that's a positive 14, then this would have to be a negative 14 for them to eliminate. So I need to distribute a negative 2, so that way the y's eliminate. So I'm going to start by writing 8x plus 14y equals 4. Then my bottom equation, when I multiply, negative 2 times 6 is negative 12x minus 14y equals negative 20. So when I look at this, I have a letter that eliminates. My y value is 14 minus 14. Yep, that's 0. So those would eliminate. So now I just combine like terms. 8 minus 12 is negative 4x. 4 minus 20 is negative 16. Get x by itself by dividing by negative 4. So x equals 4. So if x is 4, we're going to put a 4 in the x spot of my ordered pair. So now I'm going to take this 4, and I'm going to take an equation, doesn't matter which one, and I'm going to plug it in. So that starts with an 8. Instead of x, I know that x is 4 plus 14y equals 4. 8 times 4 is the number 32 plus 14y equals 4. To get y by itself, we subtract, so minus 32 minus 32. You can draw a border for all of these if that's helpful for you guys. So that leaves me with 14y equals negative 28. Last step, get y by itself by divide by 14, dividing by 14. Negative 28 divided by 14 is the number negative 2. So my y value is negative 2. Okay, so try that one more time with number 8. So in number 8, I need a letter to eliminate. I need for a letter to eliminate. 2 times nothing will ever make a 7. But I could turn this y into something that would eliminate with 3 y's. This was a negative 3, and that's a positive 3. They'd cancel. So what are you going to multiply by to turn this into a negative 3? Okay, go ahead and try number 8 and see what you get there. Okay, so at this point in the video, we are now on bonus questions. So these here are just for extra credit. So if you don't want to try these, if you're like, oh, that was really hard, I don't want to try it anymore, that's fine. You can stop here if you want to. So for regular credit, it's okay. I keep a little stop sign. It's okay to stop here. However, if you want extra credit and you want to keep going, then let's do these last 4 together. So this is all extra credit. If you don't care about extra credit, then you can stop here. Okay? So for the grade this week, 1 through 8, which we just did, are the ones that count. These last few are just for extra credit. Okay? So let's take a look at number 9. If you want extra credit, keep listening. If not, goodbye. See you guys soon. Work on your practice. Okay? So let's look at number 9. So in number 9, what happens is 3 and 5, those don't cancel. 5 and 3, that doesn't make 0. 4 and negative 9, those don't cancel. That does not make 0. So what we're going to do is we're going to change them both so that way they will cancel. So if I take this top equation and multiply them all times 3, 3, 3, 3, and I take this bottom equation and I multiply them all times negative 5, that would make my x's cancel because 3 times 5 is 15x plus 12y equals negative 90. Negative 5 times 3 is negative 15x plus 45y equals positive 90. Okay, so in this one I had to change both the top equation and the bottom equation to get something to cancel. So now I have an x that will cancel. 15 minus 15 is 0. 12 plus 35 is 57y. Negative 90 plus 90 is the number 0. Okay, so now to get y by itself, you divide. Don't be afraid of 0, it's fine. It's just a number. 0 divided by 57, which is 0. So the y of this ordered pair is 0. So as always, once we solved for one letter, we now need to solve for the other. So we can use any of the equations to be able to solve for x. So I'm going to erase this so it doesn't get in our way. These numbers are smaller, so I'd prefer to use these numbers to solve for x. So I'm going to rewrite the first equation, 5x plus 4. Instead of this y, I know that y is 0 equals negative 30. 5x plus 0 is negative 30. Solve for x. 5x equals negative 30. Divide by 5. X is negative 6. Okay, so I was able to cancel the x's because I had to multiply both the top and the bottom equation by a number. So try the same thing with number 10. You're going to have to multiply both the top and the bottom by something that would make these things cancel. So it's just bonus, extra credit. You can try number 10. Okay, so now if you want to keep going, you could stop here too. It's totally fine. But if you want to keep going, you're like, gosh, I'm so bored, give me more math, yay, then you can do these last two with me as well. Okay, so in this last one here, another bonus question. So in this one, again, 4 times nothing will ever make 7. 8 times nothing will ever make 9. So I need to change both the top and the bottom equations here. So I can multiply the tops times 4, and I can multiply the bottoms times negative 7. It's just the opposite of these numbers, and that will make a coefficient that matches. 4 times 7 is the number 28x plus 32y equals negative 36. Negative 7 times 4 is negative 28x plus 63y equals negative, what was that, 150 something? Number 11, 154. Okay, big numbers, not impossible. But now we can eliminate. So in this one here, 28 minus 28 is 0. Goodbye. 32 plus 63 is 95y. Negative 54 and negative 36 is negative 190. Get y by itself by dividing. These are the most difficult they'll ever be. They'll never be more difficult than these. Negative 190 divided by 95 is the number negative 2. Okay, so number 11, the y value is negative 2. So now I'm going to pick the original equation, just because the numbers are smaller. I'll take this guy right here and use it to solve for x. 7x plus 8 times negative 2 equals negative 9. 7x minus 16 equals negative 9 plus 16. Is that right? 7x, negative 9 plus 16, yeah, it's 7, sorry. Get x by itself by dividing by 7. So x equals 1. Okay, so if you want to challenge yourself, go ahead and try number 12. So again, only numbers 1 through 8 are the actual assignment, and numbers 9 through 12 are extra credit if you want to try these here. So that is the end of our week 2 video 2. So at this point, you guys are going to find your worksheet. You have 4 easy questions on that worksheet. Work through those and then submit video notes 1, video notes 2, and your 4 practice problems to your teacher. Have a good day. We will see you all next week.